big news is out. I started recording. But that's something that I've had a lot of shame about because
I think that's so true, right? Because, it's like, what are we defining as being successful, right? And if we think about it, like there's so much, right, in Facebook groups for anybody who's hanging out there as an entrepreneur. It's like, it's 6 figures, it's 7 figures, it's 8 figures, it's 9, or maybe we should be talking about 10 today, right? And
10 figures.
Just keep going. And, it's nothing to do with that. It is about the journey. And it's like for each one of us, it's a personal journey of all the stuff we have to do in our real lives, right? Whether it's looking after parents, kids, whatever, I still have a day job and I run my business on the side because right now that's what I need to do. And I would be very like you. I have a lot of kind of shame, particularly last year. It was huge in a lot of Facebook groups. It's like, well, if you're serious about your business, you just quit your day job and throw yourself into it 100%. And it's like going, who's going to pay my bills? Who's going to feed my 2 kids, right? But I get the shame thing because I was the exact same. And I was kind of like keeping it low key that I still had a day job, right? I was just, I'm building my business, but being very vague about it, right? And, it's not about that. For me, like the success is breaking down each one of those fears and every success, every step I take towards what it is I'm supposed to be doing. That is what success is. It's about the journey and it's not about any particular destination because apparently there is no there anyhow. We never get anywhere. It's just about the experience that we're going through. And for me, it is about the journey and it's about growth. And if I learn something new, or if I'm able to do something different every week or every month, that to me is, that's what I'm here for. It's not about any perceived place because, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
No, we don't. No. And it's funny because, I used to say like, oh, when I have my own house, and I can implement a lot of that stuff because now I have my own house. But now it's like, ooh, I want to get this furniture and I want to do this. So there really is no there because I'm there. And I'm still like, what's next? Because whenever you get somewhere, you're automatically triggered. It's just human. You want to go to the next spot. So once you quit your day job and you have the full-time thing, you'll go from however many clients to, ooh, I want this. And then it's the next step. So we're always, I don't necessarily like the term up-leveling, but that's the only thing that pops into my head right now.
It is, yeah.
We're always going to what that next step is. Improvement.
Yeah, exactly.
Conscious improvement.
Exactly. And I think, for me, it's the conscious improvement is better than just sitting on your ass, right? And as I say, kind of the sleepwalking through life that a lot of people did and that I did up to about 2 or 3 years ago, right? Where you're just, you've no passions, you've no fire lit under your ass, you're not doing anything for yourself, you're not fulfilling that creative side of yourself or that, the part of you in your heart and soul that knows that there's something more to you than just, this sounds really bad, but like there is more to me than just being a mom, right? There has to be something in there for me, right? So it's like for me, that is where I truly am me, and the more I am me and give myself permission to do the things I love, the better a mother I am to my children because I'm happier, but also I'm showing them that there's more to life right now than just school, which they love too, right?
Right. I think that's so important because I go through that too. Is like when you're a mom, you're like, okay, I've got to give them this time, or I have to give him this time, or whatever, and then. It's all the same: shame, fear, guilt, and judgment, and
mom guilt.
Right. So, I'm working on a challenge, so he's got the iPad for an hour tonight, or something like that, and so I go into the same cycle, and so it's like, okay, just for today, right? We have to start with just for today because every day is not exactly the same, and really be patient with ourselves and recognize that's the process. So this morning, I had some extra time before my first appointment. So we sat in his room and we played Legos. And I soaked in that moment. And I think that's what it's about. It's about cherishing those little moments and having that time and being fully present when you have that time. So whether it's Legos or whether it's, whatever in your mom experience, right?
There's a new word there, Chrissy.
Experience.
Experience.
Is really treasuring those moments, because that's what they're going to remember. And he'll say, Mommy, come sit down with me. So he was home on Monday, and so I brought my yoga mat out. I posted some pictures on Facebook, and he's like, Mommy, look, I doing yoga. And I was like, okay. So for 5 minutes, we played on the mat, and those are the moments that, again, that we add up, because that's what our brain stores, is all of these memories. And the more memories of those that we have, I think that also helps us to conquer the resistance, because that develops our why, our deeper knowing of what we want, because we don't want the rat race. You don't want to be full-time all the time forever.
No. And I mean, like, I know your son is, he's a good bit younger.
Yeah.
A good bit younger than my two, and I mean, really I think it was when my kids hit about 8 and 9 that, they really started becoming independent little people, right? And I remember that summer, because they were out, on the we live in a lovely area. There's a green outside our house. They were out with their friends all evening, right? And it was kind of like nearly a replica of my childhood, where we'd be gone for hours, and Mom wouldn't even know where we were. We were gone in the fields. At least I knew I could hear my kids with the windows open, right? But they were gone for hours on end, just having fun. And it's like, you're not going to bring them in and say, hey, sit and keep me company. And then that's when it became glaringly obvious to me that, hey, I need something for me here, because this is step one. Then when they're teenagers, they just sit in their rooms, and then, they go to college.
You're embarrassed.
Exactly. Well, I had that experience when they were a lot younger, but it was, then they just want you to fill their bank account, drive them everywhere, and then they're gone to college, and, that's it. So it's kind of, you do need to start having something for you, because it's those memories you'll have of, sitting playing Lego. And I mean, that seems like just yesterday for me, but it is a good 5 or 6 years ago since, I sat and played Lego anyhow, for sure. We do other stuff now, but it is about cherishing kind of those experiences along the way, those times along the way when they really, really do want you, and being able to just say, you know what, right, for now, my purpose in life is just being a mother playing Lego, and just staying with it and really enjoying it, because it is so precious. It really, really is.
Yeah. I think, in terms of conquering the resistance and stepping into a powerful place, letting go, because all of that is really allowing yourself to step through fear.
Yes. Yeah. There's always going to be fears. I mean, fear is just part of our human existence, right? If you have a brain, you have fear, right? Mm-hmm. So it is about, as you say, stepping through it. And sometimes, I say, well, it doesn't matter what it really feels like. You just have to go do it anyhow. And it becomes a kind of, feel it, but do it anyhow. And don't let the fear and the resistance, stop you, because sometimes, I mean, it can be so thick and so heavy that you actually start to feel ill at the thoughts of doing stuff, right? And it's just a matter of just, keep going and just do it anyhow, and know that maybe the second time or the third time you do it, you'll actually enjoy it. But it won't necessarily be the first time you do it, right? Particularly when we talk about Periscope, Blabs, all that type of stuff. I mean, the first time I was just like, do I have to be here?
Well, yeah. I think that, and fear is different things for different people. I mean, I shared what fear was for me in terms of fear of judgment. So I think that fear can be representative of, I'm not enough, or judgment, what people will
I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say.
People have heard all of this before, and I've nothing new to say. And my classic one, actually, for ages was, everybody knows this already.
Interesting.
That's a really interesting one, yeah. So everything I had to learn and overcome in the last 4 years, everybody in the whole wide world apparently knew that, except me.
How I reframed that one was, I have a special touch. I have a different way. I have a different spin. So that one was mine for a while, but for me, I got past that pretty quickly, just because I had a specific spin. on it, which was, yeah, they may have heard this before, but here's a specific part of it that they haven't. So, especially in terms of like manifesting law of attraction, I've heard, I can probably tell you that I've read, I can't tell you how many articles, but tons of articles. I've watched videos, I've subscribed to courses, and while they're all very similar, and sometimes I'll say, oh, I've seen this before, but there's sometimes just a little bit that's slightly different that is like, oh, I never thought about it that way before, or that's an interesting addition to the concept, or, oh, I'm going to try that. So that's where I started thinking, hey, adding a specific spin or your own personality to it makes it different.
Yeah, it does. It does actually. And yeah, I mean, I guess when I think about it, what I always give people is the way I do it, right? Or,
right.
Kind of the words I focus on. So, because, everything is out there on Google anyhow, right? As I say, everything except your intuition, you can Google, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everything is out there, right? But it's putting it in a way that people can digest it. Because I remember years ago when I first heard about the law of attraction, and it sounded like the most alien concept in the whole world. And I really only took about 4 years ago. And, I heard about it. I heard about the movie The Secret. I think it was a year later before I watched it. But it was, I had actually learned about manifestation a completely different way. It was just about setting intentions around the feelings that I wanted. And, lo and behold, things started shifting miraculously in my life. So to me, that's what manifesting is. And the way I always explain it is that's what you do. So yeah, I'll do vision boards and stuff like that. But for me, the practical day-to-day stuff is all around, tapping into the feelings and asking for the feelings, looking for the synchronicities and all that type of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know what Esther Hicks is saying these days. I'm sure she's saying the same stuff as she was years ago. But I know when I'm talking to people about manifesting, I always go back to the way I learned it, and I share the stories with them of the stuff that happened. And some of them are really, they're cracking good stories. And it's the stories that the people remember, not kind of the theory of, well, you sit down and you write out your affirmations and you do gratitude journals and da-da-da-da-da. It's when you give them the real life stories. And I suppose that is really what we share, right, is our spin on it. And that is our spin on it, is how it happened for us, right? And that's what people remember. So, yeah. But yeah, that whole thing of, yeah, everybody's heard this already. I have nothing new to say. That one stuck me for a few months, actually. It was just really, really hard for me to kind of say, okay, well, they just need to hear it again. But, that is what conquering resistance is all about, is just keep on chewing on it until you eventually get past it.
That was going to be my next question. How did you get past it actively?
Actively? Well, it is, right? I literally manifested, if you like, my way out of it. So the way I work with everything, right, is
manifestation.
It is manifestation, because really, manifestation is not about something out there that you're trying to manifest. You're trying to manifest yourself and put yourself in alignment with the experiences or whatever it is you desire, right? So when I do, and I do it with everything, is I will set an intention around whatever it is I want to break through or to break down, or whatever it is I want to experience. I'll set an intention for a month, or sometimes I have to keep it for a second month if I'm a bit slow that month. And so I'll pick a word that represents what I want to feel. And when I do that, and I've been doing this for years, right, kind of unconsciously a little bit at the start, but it's becoming more purposeful now at this stage. But I will just keep repeating that word over and over and over again, like a little mini mantra all day long. And, sometimes I'll journal about it, what it would feel like when I have more confidence or feel more in my power or whatever it is. And, stuff always happens. Like I either manifest people or situations, or, a conversation will come in where suddenly that thing just is unlocked. And when I sit down a few weeks later, I say, okay, you know what? I see that came to me because I asked for whatever it is I wanted.
Right.
So my month for this month, my word for this month is confidence. I'm pretty confident, but I want to bring it to the next level. It's like the, confidence 2.0 version, right?
I love that.
So yeah, and it's amazing, like just the amount of stuff that's happened. I did it at the start of March. We're what, on the 11th. Even in the last week, like there's been kind of a huge shift for me, and just different small things have happened. But I can see it where now I care less about what other people think, and I really don't care what people think when I say, I'm a coach. I'm into spirituality. I love crystals and all that type of stuff. Right? I care less. It's like, well, you don't have to, but that's me.
Right.
That's the real me. And it's just like, you do your thing, I'll do mine. And the people who want to hear about what I like to talk about will hear it, and on we go.
Right. And so, okay, so if today's the 11th, have you started this on March 1st?
I started on March 1st, yeah.
Okay. So are you doing specific journaling or something every day? Like you said, how will I feel? And so, yeah, if we could get rid of feel of what other people think, like I completely agree. It would be a good
bang on
battle, because and it's funny because I had this conversation with my coach this morning. I said, I'm starting to realize if I don't have haters, I'm not doing it right. Not that
That's true.
I want to have haters. I don't think anybody's like, please hate me. But I think that that's something I'm realizing is if you don't have somebody who's hating on you, then you haven't made it yet. You haven't.
It's true, because
pissed somebody off.
It's part of being visible, right? And doing your thing. It's like some people they just won't like you, and
Right.
it's nothing to do with you.
No. Well, it's
just a mismatch of energy, right?
It's a reflection, and that's what I learned way back when. I want to say it was from. I go back to this book a lot, but it's the Shadow book, and I don't have it here because I don't have any books up here, but with Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, and Debbie Ford.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
The shadow, something about the shadow. So the shadow effect. So essentially, we see things in other people that either we like or dislike, and it relates back to a part of ourselves that we either like or dislike, or we are suppressing. So for people who are a lot like me, who have a very, I know I have a very strong voice, and I know that I also have a lot of masculine energy. And so for people who are like that, we can get along, but sometimes we don't really click. Like I tend to click with people who have a lot more softer feminine energy, because the folks that are, it's almost like a balance. So people that are very masculine or very similar to me, I've learned to pick out or reflect or see the reflection. And some people that are like that, I really like. And some people, they rub me the wrong way. And I'm like, oh, so I know it's because they're really similar to me in some ways. And it may be a part of myself that I'm not ready to represent, or I'm not ready to put out there. So people who are very vocal and like, this is who I am and too bad for you, I tend to not resonate so much, because that's a part of myself that I haven't fully accepted. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, no, it does. And I mean, that is so true about kind of the energies like that. They they have to, there has to be the balance. So, as I say, oh gosh, it kind of gets complicated, but yeah, if you haven't accepted something yourself, there is an imbalance kind of on the energy that you have. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, once you start finding it in yourself, you find it more in the people around you. But we all have light and shadow.
Work in progress.
Work in progress. Oh, you're not there yet.
There's no there.
There am I.
Series of hills. Right?
So yeah, I mean, it is so true about the visibility and the haters and stuff like that, because I mean, to put yourself out there, you have to be very, very real, or else you just can't sustain it. It becomes such hard work, you just can't do it, right? I mean, I know for me anyhow, I never could do fake, so I'm not going to start now.
Yeah.
But it is getting beyond that judgment thing, and the judgment stuff, it just comes, oh my goodness, like it comes from everywhere, like, but our whole childhood is packed with trying to be good children and keep everybody happy and all that type of stuff. So it's like, got to let go of all of that kind of fear around what other people think, just to be visible, to be ourselves, and to be able to say, somebody out there is going to like me.
And not know who that somebody is.
Yes.
Not always know. And I think that that's another thing. We desire certainty.
Oh yeah.
So there's a certain amount of certainty that we want, and so fear presents us with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. And so when we're uncertain, I think it's harder to be visible because it's more like it's like going to the party and you're a wallflower.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's there. Maybe you have one friend there and everybody else you don't know. So unless you're an extrovert, which I'm actually like a 50-50 mix.
Yeah.
Extrovert. I love being at home and on the computer, but I also love meeting people. Like I do get energy from people, but then too much, it's like, oh, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
But I think that there is a certain amount of uncertainty when you put yourself out there, and the whole fake thing. I'm not calling anybody specific out, but I mean, I know that there are people that are like, oh, I'm making tons of money, and they're like living in a cardboard box. And that's kind of how I could never have been, that's not me. And I think that's why I hid, because I couldn't, I never was I'm not someone who talks about money anyway, like in that regard, that's just not who I am. But I think that's why I hid for so long, because I didn't feel that it was being truthful and authentic to where I was at that time. But again, it wasn't about the money, but I knew that that's where I judged myself. So I thought that that's where other people would judge me.
Yeah.
But again, when you're the wallflower or when you don't know anybody, there's no certainty in terms of, okay, are people going to accept me or are they going to judge me? Are they going to accept me or are they going to judge me? And so this whole new idea of being vulnerable, sharing, opening the cape, showing all of yourself, ambivert, yay, D. This idea of showing all of yourself it's very raw. And I think that when there's no certainty of I'm going to find my peeps, and you put yourself out there and it's like chirp, 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 and nobody responds, and you've been completely vulnerable, I think that's pretty scary for people.
Yeah.
Is expecting that once they are vulnerable, that people will, oh, thanks for sharing your story. And then if it doesn't happen, they put themselves out there and they're emotionally naked. They're not physically naked, but emotionally raw, naked.
I think sometimes being physically naked would be easier than being
right.
naked, right? There's a lot of things that, if you physically got slapped, sometimes it's easier than if you're emotionally slapped, because at least you know what's happening to you, right? So it's, that whole thing, but it is about kind of being our own worst critics as well, right? Because we judge ourselves far more harshly than other people would ever think of us that way. And even though sometimes people don't respond, you really don't know the impact you're having on people, right? Because you can be sharing, right. Which has happened to me for a while, and then people come back to you and say, oh my gosh, like you were such a source of inspiration. I'm like, really? I thought nobody was listening. And I'm like, I've never heard from you before, but thank you. But it is about you do have to show up, and it is going to be crickets, right, for a while, because when we think about it, right, we're the ones who are kind of learning to show up, but the people that we kind of want to interact or engage with us, they're also kind of squashed down or stuck by their own judge, who won't let them even like or comment a post in case somebody else sees them that knows them or whatever, right? So they're also kind of struggling with their own kind of engagement and kind of getting ready to interact. And I mean, a lot of people kind of think, it's like we do as well, right? If you're putting people up on pedestals, you think, oh, I'm not worthy of engaging with this person. So, it's kind of that whole ripple effect of we're all kind of comparing ourselves to somebody ahead of us and not really feeling worthy. And it just becomes a big whole thing of judgment and criticism that's going on. And, you kind of begin to wonder, like, where does it start and where does it end?
Right. And I think that's something that that negative self-critic is so pervasive, because I notice, you know how I've seen posts like, why would you tell yourself things that you wouldn't say to your best friend? And that has helped a bit, because sometimes some of the things that I think, or some of the worries or freakouts that go on, they're so automatic. And I knew this from my years of therapy as a therapist in psychology, but I didn't have them then. I didn't have those thoughts as pervasively as in, even as a solopreneur therapist. If I did not have those pervasive negative thoughts that were like, you suck, nobody wants to talk to you. Like, now I have them more often. And so I'm having to make it a practice habit of, writing down accomplishments every day, writing down things that I'm good at, writing down the successes of my clients, writing down breakthroughs, because I might have an awesome day, and then the next day I have a client, I don't know, flakes, quits, misses a session, who knows? And then I'm like, oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I'm shocked. And I'm like, whoa, like, because that negativity is just so pervasive. And so I have to bring myself back and say, okay,
it's just one person, it's just one day.
right.
Yeah, and I think it's because, well, my understanding of therapy is it's helping people kind of unpack the past more so, right? And deal with, stuff that has been happening. Whereas, coaching is entirely different, right? It's about dreams, futures, and the future brings the unknown and the uncertainty, right? So it's a different measure of what's success, right, and what's really going to help move people forward. And nothing is guaranteed, right? And it goes back to that whole thing, like, of, well, really what you're trying to do is bolster up the person so that they can cope with the unknown, right? And make that whole little dream box that they have somehow within their reach, so they can almost like reach out and grab it and get a hold of it and be drawn towards it, because we don't really know how it's going to unfold, right?
No.
So,
but I think the thing that happened in counseling, and it happens less in coaching because you have packages, right? But if you have somebody who's working with you for a month, okay, and I'm just going to compare the two. So in counseling, they can't unpack everything from the past in a month anyway. But when people start to feel better in counseling, they're like, oh, I feel better, I'm done. And, I have month packages, 90-day packages in coaching. But if you have somebody that's like, I thought I'd get more out of this, or, but they don't realize sometimes you have to not unpack in coaching, but that you have to change certain behaviors. You have to take action on things and take steps forward on doing things. And so you work on the emotional resistance in coaching to get past those things. But let's say, and I'm not a business coach, but I'm just using this as an example because it's the easiest one for people to understand, is like, oh, I want a 5K month, and I'm going to get a 5K month in 90 days. And you have that person who didn't make their first 5K month, and they're like, I didn't get there, so I'm not working with you again.
I know.
And it's like, okay, but look at how far you came. Look at how much work you did. Hello. Look at how much you did. Look at how far you grew. And I think it's the same thing same concept in counseling, but different outcomes. So the concept in counseling is, okay, you're better, but you're still not where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think somebody just joined there. What are we talking about? We're talking about overcoming resistance and fears and stepping into your power.
Yeah. And I was just talking, whoa.
Okay. I think that person needs to go. I'll let you do the blocking. Don't know how to do that. We're not talking about that. Oh, God.
That's like so rude. Now I'm like, how do we do this?
I don't know.
Anyway,
So what was I saying? God, get rid of them. Oh my goodness. That's classic, isn't it?
but I'm not necessarily getting anywhere. So.
All right. Okay. So anyhow, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the how far you can get in a coaching situation, right, within 3 months. I think that's sometimes what people kind of. It's hard to remember where you were at the start of the 3 months, right? And it's kind of hard to remember exactly where you were with the resistance, with the fears, with your confidence, with just where you were as a person. And through any coaching, I think you will absolutely grow as a person in 3 months.
Right.
But it's hard to quantify that, because it's very hard to, it's very easy, like we'll say from a counseling or therapy perspective, right? Remember, well, I used to feel like crap, and it was really hard for me to get up in the mornings. I felt very unproductive, couldn't remember what I was supposed to be doing. Life felt very blank or bland or whatever. And then at the end of a month or whatever, it's like, oh no, I've shifted over, shifted through that. So you start to feel good. So from, feeling like crap to feeling like good is easier to measure than feeling from good to feeling a little bit better. Right? Because it's not the kind of, it's not the day and night type thing that you have when you're working through stuff. So I think that's one thing for sure. And I mean, I've experienced that myself, right? Mm-hmm. Where I kind of sometimes forget where I was 3 months ago.
Right.
And I think with anybody, it's you have to remember where you were, right, and what was kind of blocking you, or where the resistance was really keeping you stuck at any given time, right? And it is about celebrating those kind of small wins, which maybe didn't make you your 6 figures in 6 months as you wanted to, but it's recognizing that those 6 figures could start any day of the week, right? Just when you get out of your way and start doing what you're going to do. But I mean, I truly believe that we are on our own individual path. Nothing is guaranteed, right? There is no do X, Y, and Z, and you're going to make whatever. And it's it is about the journey. And my whole way of dealing with when am I going to get there, is just be really curious about what's going to happen next. And stay out of the how, right? And just show up, do your thing, do what you feel really inspired or drawn to do.
Right.
And just let it happen from there, and just enjoy it while you're doing it.
Isn't that what Abraham Hicks says? Not stay out of the how specifically, but there was a part right before that, and I'm like, my brain. That you
be really curious about it.
Be really curious about it. So one of the things that I've seen, I want to say it was in a YouTube video, which was about curiosity. Like, wouldn't it be great if, or wouldn't it be awesome if, which brings about the curiosity, yet also puts you in a state open to receiving. So wouldn't it be awesome if I had a 5-figure month? I mean, granted, you have to, in manifestation, you have to take action steps in order for people to open that that pipeline, I guess, to say, wouldn't it be awesome? And then you start generating what that next thing is. And I know that money is the easy one, but you could say, I started doing, well, wouldn't it be awesome, if I had my own house? Wouldn't it be awesome, if I got a free cup of coffee today? Wouldn't it be awesome? I mean, you could do anything, right? Wouldn't it be awesome if, in your situation,
if I got help with something?
If I got help with something, wouldn't it be awesome if my boss was out sick today and I didn't have to go to that meeting? Wouldn't it be awesome?
Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, it's just, the whole thing for me anyhow with curiosity is it just opens you to what you want may just happen, or even something better.
Right.
Because sometimes we limit ourselves in trying to figure out, okay, I just want X. Well, maybe something better is trying to get through to you and you're blocking it. So.
Yeah.
It's
sorry.
You got a bug?
Yes. This room, I don't know. It's like a haven or something. It's just become, I don't know. Stink bugs. I don't know if you know what those are. They're like native of Japan or something.
No, we don't have them. They're not here yet.
Yeah, they're harmless, but they're like everywhere, and I'm like, what is up with that? So this is like a porch. So anyway, and they don't cause any harm. It's just anyway.
Bugs around.
So conquering resistance. So stepping into your power. So this month you have taken steps to raise your confidence, and so.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you started asking me that question, I think, before we were interrupted by that guy. But anyhow, also true about staying on your path with daily validation on how far you've come. Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's, I know what you were saying there, Kristen, earlier on about kind of that male energy. I mean, you know, my male energy is just standing there with a whip, you know, cracking me on, going, do more, do more, do more. And for me, that is something I've been very, very conscious about, is that recognition every day or every week, just to say, what, you know, okay, what have I achieved, right? And I even remember at the end of 2015, I actually sat down one day and I wrote out what did I actually do in my first year, you know, of business. And when I sat down, I kind of looked at it and kind of going, geez, you know, how did I manage to do that? Like, well, I still have a day job, you know, 2 kids, single mom, like, how the hell did I do it? And it's something I'm more conscious of this year, is like every month sitting down and writing down exactly what I did. So that really helps. But in terms of what am I doing this month, okay, to manifest this extra confidence, right? So, I mean, what I did at the start of the month was I sat down, honed in, and, you know, confidence came up as the word, right? And sometimes I struggle with the whole confidence thing because it can be very kind of pumped up and, you know, whatever. It came up as the word. And I, you know, I sat down and I wrote a bit about, you know, what confidence really means to me, right? And it is letting go of the judgment, listening less to the fears, or at least hearing them, but not taking them on, right? As in not embracing them and leaving them kind of hang out there.
Yeah.
And then from that, I mean, what I'm more conscious of this month is like every time I'm kind of faced with, you know, something that comes up, right? And I kind of feel, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. Or, you know, should I do this or whatever? I kind of do this thing, right? Where I say, okay, right, well, what would the confident version of me do versus the, you know, the Noelle that really wants to hang out today, right? And sometimes I kind of even left myself flip-flop between the two, and I can say, okay, right, well, the confident version would say do whatever, and then I let myself feel the way I am today, and then I keep on pulling myself back into this confidence. So, I mean, it sounds a little bit psychotic, right, that there's 2 of me, but there is, right?
I do that all the time, and I love it, and I think it's so helpful. Plus, I use that with my clients, you know, and it's so funny because one of the coaches that I work with, we had kind of talked about, like, remember those like bracelets, like what would Jesus do, like WWJD, like, you know, and so we were talking about that, and it's so important because, you know, what would the confident you do?
Yeah.
What would the powerful you do? And so when you think about it that way, you know, what would the super Noelle do? Super Noelle, you know? Kate. Yeah, where's your Kate? I think that helps you to step into your power more.
It does, absolutely does, because one is a powerful version, whereas the other is just like, you know, the victim one who wants to stay with the slippers on in the comfort zone. So it's about flipping into that side, and it's just even thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, I feel it's coming up, right? I feel the resistance. I feel this doubt creeping in. It's like, I know it's not real, so it's like, okay, let's get back into, you know, the version of me that I want to be, and that's what really, 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 really helps.
Yeah.
I'm just reading Alison, sorry, it's not Alison, Alicon's, I can't read that. Alicona. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. It's really not good to read without my glasses. Physical check-ins by sitting up tall and breathing. Yeah, and that's kind of what I do, because sometimes when I'm doing that thing, it's like, well, the bigger version of me is bigger, and then I kind of let myself slump back into where I am today. So that physical thing definitely works, and standing up and doing some breathing squats, power poses. Yeah, and I mean, you know, even the thing of, you know, the difficult phone calls, if you take the phone call standing up, it's so simple, but like we forget to do these things kind of when we're rushing around every day, but that one really, really works. The power poses definitely help.
I work with some type A males,
Oh, really?
I prefer with female clients, but I have had male clients, and I literally have to do that like superwoman stance or Superman stance before session, because so I've to call them out on things, because sometimes they don't want to be called out on things, and it becomes a power struggle. And so having that conversation of, all right, this is your pattern. This is what you're doing. How are we going to change it? And that's a weak, version of it. But really having the guts to like call them out, because it's so different, especially since I know I have a masculine energy, but yet I'm still a woman and I still have that, that feminine side. So that's something that I've had to overcome. But yeah, using that power stance has really, really helped.
Don't mess with Kristin look.
I don't know about that. But one of the things that you said about having that conversation, I remember a couple months ago, I was having an issue with forgiveness, like self-forgiveness. And it was like on a weekend. My next coaching session with my own coach wasn't until like the following Thursday or something. And I was like, great, what am I going to do? It's Saturday night. I'm sitting here watching Peppa Pig. I know you know what Peppa Pig is. With my son. Sitting here watching Peppa Pig. I need some coaching. And, all my friends are out. My husband's not going to help. Who am I going to coach?
Did Mommy Pig not have a message for you?
Mommy Pig did not have a message for me. So I decided I was going to coach myself. So literally it was like, okay, Kristin, this is what we're going to do. Okay, Kristin. And it was this back and forth inside my head. And so I literally kind of went through that. What would Kristin do? But it was more of a, like, let's make this happen. Like, and I kind of sat myself down in the chair, and I was, like mentally, and it was amazing. It was so therapeutic, even though it wasn't therapy. It was like I coached myself, but it was so, I want to use another word aside from therapeutic, but cathartic, empowering, cathartic. Like, it was healing, and I was like, oh yes, okay. And then I gave myself steps to take, and I was like, wow, how much money could I save? No, I didn't do. No, I still went to my coach, but still, it was.
But I think it's that self-reflection, right?
Yeah.
And really absorbing it in ourselves. I think it's where we make the huge shifts, because we have to feel something fully in order to let it go or to move past it, right?
Yes.
So, even in your chair swinging around going, Kristin and Kristin, that is the deep conversation we need to have with ourselves, right? To start shifting this stuff, because even, I've had some powerful coaching sessions with the coaches I've worked with over the last year, but even still, at the end of the day, you still have to go home and work through it yourself and really let it absorb into you, so you kind of find that new pillar inside in yourself where you say, right, you know what, I'm so done with that old story. I'm not doing that again. That pattern, I am totally done with it, right? Mm-hmm. So, because, at the end of the day, coaching sessions will bring you into like so much awareness, so much, turn on the lights for you. You can think of strategies and things, whatever, new thoughts, new ways of looking at things, and that whole new insight can come in.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're the only one who could do it. And and sometimes it is sitting down and having that real conversation with yourself to say, you know what, we're done with this. We're not going to do it anymore. Now let's go back to my cake.
Like, there's a lot that we can cover in coaching, but outside the coaching session is where the real magic happens, because that's where you take action.
Absolutely. And it is about action, and resistance is all, what's stopping us taking that action. So it's like, get over it, get beyond it, deal with it, talk to it, tell it to go away, whatever it is you need to do. And it's from there on in. That's one thing I did last year. I was writing my book, which is, part memoir, and, how the hell I got myself out of the dump of my life that I was in at the time. And every morning last summer, I was getting up an hour before the kids to have an hour of peace and quiet where I would write, because the evening times were just busy going off getting ice creams, going to the park, whatever, right? And every morning I had to start with writing about the resistance that was coming up for 3 minutes. And I would say, hey, today's resistance is telling me that I have no more words to write. And I would write about that for, 2 or 3 minutes, and I would sit and feel it, and then say, okay, right, we're done with that piece of resistance. And I would get on and I would write for an hour. And then the next day it would be like, hey, resistance is telling me today that nobody is ever going to read this book. Right. And I'd say, okay, well, that's fine. That's really interesting. But you know what? Let's go ahead, write it anyhow, and see if anybody in the wide world wants to read it.
Right.
So get through this thing of every morning talking to the resistance and then getting on with what I had to do.
Yeah.
So
that's powerful.
All of those mini conversations. I didn't have Peppa Pig on in the background, but
I remember it distinctively, like, all right, you're going to watch Peppa Pig. Mommy's got some inner work to do. I'll be back. But, that's just part of it, It's having a conversation with the resistance, with the fear, with you're not going to win today. I think that's really important, as part of a process, because it's an internal dialogue, but it's not the truth. It's never the truth. So it's just the story that we've created, that we've made up, like the whole nobody's going to want to read my book or nobody's going to read it. That's just simply not true, because now I'm curious and I want to read it.
Not there yet. Don't worry. I'll let you know when it is. Once I get beyond the resistance of talking about it. Right.
Just same thing with me. Like, oh, nobody's going to want to hear my story. And then I share it. So we all have the resistance that comes up. It's, I think there's somebody else, and I can't remember who it is, that's like, make friends with your fear. I don't know. I think fear teaches us something about ourselves. And clearly I recognize that our ego is trying to protect us. That's another part of that. So the ego self, the War of Art. Yeah. I have it. I haven't read it completely. I have it on Kindle.
It's brilliant. I had it on Kindle, and I had to get the book just so I could open it up every day.
Touch the pages. Okay.
Yeah, just go, here we are again, because you can never flick on a Kindle the same way as you can the book, but that is probably the only book last year that
I completely agree.
I bought on paper, because I just had to have it, because it is a great book, and for anybody who's kind of creative or anything like that, or doing anything with a right brain activity, you have to conquer resistance. And that book is literally one book about the word resistance, and it's a fabulous insight, and he's loads of different perspectives about kind of being the CEO of your business, or you can be the CEO of your life, or whatever it is, and it really helps you to pull back into that position of power, so you can take action, because it immediately lifts you into that perspective of, what, I can actually do this. It is just resistance that is stopping me. So it's great. Right.
Yeah. And every time I read a new page in there, I'm like, yes, this sounds like me. And I think even the beginning, he said he had resistance of writing the book. Because nobody was going to want to read it.
Nobody wanted to read it. And we all have copies of it, right?
We all have copies of it. We're all writing our own books, and nobody wants to read them, but we're writing them. So, yes, isn't that awesome? Synchronicity. It's so true. And I think that's what it is there's this resistance. And I think that it's so important to remember, and so that we're all going through the same thing, but different. So I have my fears of being vulnerable. You have your fears of being vulnerable. We all have fears of being vulnerable, of being visible. What will people think? Who are we going to resonate with? And then there's I had a conversation on my radio show the other day with Megan Hale, and we were talking about competition and coaching. And one of the things that was really interesting was, oh, somebody's already doing that. They're doing it really great. I can't do that. And I said, can you imagine if there was only one heart surgeon for the whole world because he was really killing it? Like, we'd be screwed. We can't do surgery on the internet, right? So
that is so true.
More spiritual coaches? Why can't we have more business coaches, more empowerment coaches? Because there are different people who are going to resonate. I can remember vividly, I went to a pediatrician for my son. The guy had no bedside manner. What if he was the only pediatrician? Like, my son needed something for his ear and the doctor's like this. And I'm like, dude, he's like 18 months old. And so I was like, thank you that there's another choice of another pediatrician that I can go to. Right?
It's so true. I think it's a great analogy. I think it is so true. And, when you think of it that way, it's like, why do we make it so hard for ourselves to say, like, oh, I can do this too, and this is what I do, when you've got like every Tom, Dick, and Harry like opening up shops and stores and taking jobs or whatever, or kind of trained to be heart surgeons, pediatricians, whatever. They never stop to think, right, that they can't do it. Okay, like, obviously there's other people think I could never do it, but
right.
It is so true. Like, I mean, the comparison thing is like, seriously, need to get over that and stop looking around. And the way I look at comparison is like, somebody else is doing it out there just to show you what's possible for you to do as well. Right. And it's just like, kill that one now. But the heart surgeon is a great analogy. One for the world.
It's hard to realize we're the ones holding us back. It's not about learning another core strategy. Totally. No. And one of the things that I've recognized this, so I'm like stepping into my spiritual side, my like woo-woo side, because I've been a coach for a long time. I love coaching, but I want to bring in like the spiritual aspects and all of that. And I know that you're a spiritual coach as well. And I know like some of the other people that I love are spiritual coaches as well. And we all do different types of spiritual coaching. And so my way is not your way. And exactly. One of my other faves, and I know you guys probably know her, Kate Cole, love her to death. Love her, love her, love her. She does another thing. She does the moon stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's so awesome. I love her stuff. But I'm not like, oh, Kate's doing it, I can't do it. Or, but I remember a year ago when I was really deep in the hole, right? Nobody's going to like me. I think that's when I was comparing myself to other people who were really doing awesome. And then it took that transition of somebody using that analogy with me with, okay, so what happens if we only have one heart surgeon?
Yeah.
Or, and now I use the analogy of the pediatrician, like that's unheard of. Or what if there's only one fitness trainer?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if you go to the gym and you're like, wow, I want that. Like somebody's going to give you a really good workout and then you want that guy, but yet, he's not available on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Okay. So who are you going to go to? Cause it's going to, so those are the things, there's the personality aspect. There's what do they have to offer?
And so how would they do it as well, right? Because we all need different aspects. And I think, I've been on the spiritual journey for the last 4 years, and I've come across so many different people as coaches or healers. I needed every different flavor of that to help me release all the stuff I had to release.
Right.
And to get where I am today. So if there was only the very first lady I met, I mean, I would have got halfway, which I did with her, but I wouldn't have had all these other experiences and, all the stuff I've learned in the other year and a half, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's so true. There is room for everybody, and as Dee said, like it's not about learning stuff. It's actually about just getting out of our own way, applying it. Yeah, actually, what? It's actually just brought me back to when I finished my coach training 2 years ago. It was very funny because I remember, the last day of the course, and we're all like, okay, well, what now? And how do we set up our business? And how do we get coaching and all that type of stuff, right? I remember talking to one of our tutors, and he was saying like that. I had great plans. I said, right, I'm gonna do all this in 6 months. I'm gonna be out of my job. I'm gonna be a coach, and that's gonna be it. 6 months, I'm gonna be there. And he was like, well, generally it takes about 2 years, right, for people. And I said, like, seriously, 2 years? Like, how can it be that hard or whatever? And he said, well, it's called a little journey of getting out of your own way. And he was so right that it does take it's not an overnight flip a switch thing.
No.
It is a path that we have to literally get out of our own way. And
Right.
his words keep rattling around in my head because, it is so true. And I see it now that I look back on it, but it is literally a journey of getting out of your own way. And what's in your way is just resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
and stepping into, and I think the stepping into the power part is really about stepping into your own skin and
finding your voice
and being comfortable, right? The journey of the entrepreneur, deep dive, self-development, think you can go on, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's about that moving forward, stepping into your power is all about that confidence, but it's kind of like when a snake sheds its skin, right?
Yes.
I do think it's a new beginning, but also is that my phone or your phone?
No, it's my phone. Sorry. Just trying to silence it here.
No, but I think that stepping into the power is also about confidence and really just doing your thing. Like, and my coach says, staying in your own lane, stay in your own lane. Like, who cares what that person's doing or that person's doing? Because I remember about 6 months ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this person's putting on a challenge and it's very similar to my challenge. She's like, so what? Stay in your own lane. Who cares? And I'm like, but, and she's like,
it's so true.
bolting, yes, it can be gone.
Yeah.
And so, the thing is that only recently have I really started to show my own personality because I'm shedding that fear of all that other stuff. Right, surrendering to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, once you accept, I think the day that you accept there is no end to the growth.
No.
You're on a good track.
Right.
And when you actually start to embrace the shifts and that kind of those yucky feelings that come and say, all right, here we are, another layer, let's go through it. Right. That's where you really, starting to fast track through the stuff, and it just becomes, okay, right, today we're dealing with this. Today we're dealing with that. It is the onion, yeah. So once you learn that you are an onion and are happy with the fact that you're an onion, that's where you're really going to make progress, because a lot of people are resistant to the changes that they have to make themselves anyhow. So that's that's the biggest thing that's going to keep you stuck, is just not wanting to go through it. But once you say you're going through it, you're on a hack for sure. But yeah, right. Surrendering to the uncomfortable is a great way to put it.
Yeah. I truly think so, because I think the whole journey is about a series of uncomfortable events. That's going to be a book title. The journey of being an entrepreneur is seriously a journey of uncomfortable.
Yeah. I know. Sit on a cushion of pins as opposed to something comfortable, right?
Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. There you go. Yeah. But it's fun, right?
Yeah. Well,
we wouldn't have it any other way, would we?
No. Because there's growth there. And once you see that you're growing and you see the value, get cozy with uncomfortable. I love that.
I love it, Dee.
So important.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
that is part of the whole power thing, is just like embracing that and just saying, you know what, I don't care what comes up for me, I'm just going to do it anyhow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I've done calls that flopped. I've done, I've made posts that had chirped. That's just part of it. It's just like, sometimes you go through the hit or miss. You're like, all right, better ideas, go sit in meditation, think about what I hear, what needs to be said, and just keep moving forward. Because, what is it? I saw something Marie Forleo, one of her team, posted, or somebody else posted about her. It took her 17 years to get to where she is, and her very amazing business. I mean, I hope it doesn't take, 17 years, but she's, everybody who you think is an overnight success, it didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of background work that happened that maybe we didn't see. So every singer that has a new #1 hit, and you're like, where'd they come from? The same kind of stuff. They played, clubs, and nothing is overnight.
Busking on streets, the whole lot. Yeah. And I think that's something that we have to, we have to remember. And, for me anyhow, it's like, who knows where we will be, Kristin, right, in a few years' time, right? I'll still remember you, right? I hope you better remember me. But the thing is, I mean, like, no matter where we go or what we end up doing, right, or where we find ourselves in life, I do think that when we're like little old ladies, right, at 80 years of age, these are the years. I know I'll probably be living in America. I won't be living here with crap weather. But these are the years that we are going to remember as, personally, I know for me, these have been the best years of my life because it's where I grew and it's where I really found me and, started doing the things I love doing. And it's like, you know what? I see the other trajectory that my life could have taken. And I'm so happy that I'm on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was difficult for me when I moved. And that's kind of what was a big struggle for me when we moved from Seattle, because I really loved it there. Still love it. I mean, I still love it. And that was something I resisted for a long time, but then I recognized that the more I resisted, the more unhappy I was, and the more that I let things flow. And so I'm here, but this is where I'm meant to be. This is where I've been guided, and I believe in that spiritual aspect.
Have to trust in that.
And so stepping into that, like, okay, there's a purpose for me here. So instead of continuing to resist that can still be on my vision board, which is somewhere around here.
Needs to be unpacked.
Yes, but it's because there's my house is on there. Let me see if it's on. Right here. There's this. Maybe it's not. No, it's not on these. But anyway, there's a specific house in Seattle that I'm like, that's my house. But this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And this is the time for that. So kind of allowing, I think that's another part is, conquering the resistance, stepping into your power is also about like letting go of the resistance. So when you're fighting something, okay, what happens if you just relax into it or ease into the flow instead of consciously resisting?
Yes.
So
yeah. So be not human then.
No, it's a process. It took me a year to not resist that. So hey.
A year's not a long time. Like, seriously.
It's not, but in the grand scheme of things, but when you're like, man, it took me a year to get through that, it's like,
I know, can I not just get it in one day?
Yeah, can I just shift? No.
Yeah, but the shifts happen in a day.
Yeah. If you allow them.
Yeah, allowing. No, that's great.
I know we didn't come up with like a bulleted checklist, but I think we talked a lot about conquering resistance and stepping into your power, and in a lot of applicable ways. Especially in terms of becoming more visible, especially in terms of
taking action. Yeah. And I think it really is, it's a mindset as well to just, face the resistance head on every day. Call it for what it is, see where it's stopping you, and then just deciding to carry on regardless, right? And if it's really kind of something that's sticking you, is to ask for the answers to come in.
Yeah, I've got to go soon too, because any minute now that door's gonna open. Thanks for being here, Dee. I know my peeps are gonna be home soon because it's almost that time.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, it was great talking to you.
It was great talking to you.
Very enjoyable.
Yes, it takes courage to move forward in spite of how you feel. I completely agree, Terry, because how you feel, going through that uncomfortable emotional stuff is huge. Because you don't want to go through there. You don't want to, nobody's like, oh, give me the uncomfortable stuff. So thank you so much, Allison. It's Allison, right? Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
So, yay! All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. This has been recorded. I will send you a copy if you'd like to.
Oh, very good. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, folks.
See you next time.
Talk to you soon.
Again, Noelle.
Yeah, no, we will. Absolutely. No, it's always lovely talking to you, Kristin. You know that.
And I promise not to call you Nicole.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.